Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. A warm and happy welcome to everyone across the world joining us here on USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, hope, and inspiration. And 2024 is the year we are helping our entrepreneurs across the world sell their vision. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the United Kingdom news and culture. And unless you've been in a cave or asleep for a long time, there is incredible news that has been coming out of the United Kingdom. We are all on pins and needles waiting for our team to come and share with us what actually is going on. Obviously, there's been a number of announcements about health, especially related to the king and other members of the royal family. And so we are anxious to find out what is truly going on. Let's welcome our team. Joining us from, I believe, Texas, but not ever really 100% certain. It's Diann, Floyd, Boehm. Hello.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN from Texas.
Texas, USA. You are our expert correspondent there and also in Virginia. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for that beautiful sunflower above your head.
Oh, thank you so much. I painted it. I am excited about hearing what's going on. Thoughts and prayers to the royal family. So I can't wait for us to get started.
Yes, well, let's do that. The woman of the hour, HELENA CHARD, joining us from the United Kingdom. She has decades of experience in covering the royal family, as well as being on all major platforms across the world. Welcome. Hello.
Hey, I'm sorry, I raced in. I've just got myself here by the hook or by crook, so I do apologise for this terrible backdrop, but rather be here with you guys than not. So thank you. And I've just done a show prior and raced here, and there's so much going on. I mean, everyone is parked here in the UK outside Buckingham Palace waiting for all the updates regarding the royal family. King Charles's health, obviously mainly cancer diagnosis, etc. So it's and everyone wants to know what's happening. It's very sad, and there's a lot of speculation going on, but it's trying to decipher, the fact from fiction, which sometimes can be a bit hairy. But it's I think the whole of the country is really quite sad. I don't know how it is with you guys. Is it being reported and covered? Is it
Oh,
been like
yeah.
top story? Has
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
It is
Before,
a top
Okay.
story. And, but like you said, they said King Charles came out with it, so there wouldn't be any speculation, but all there is speculation.
It is just because the media just everyone wants more and more. And it's also natural instinct, isn't it? You think, oh, well, what about this? What about this? And then if there wasn't so much Chinese whispers, you would take everything as is. But I think as well, it's introducing more and more information gradually as not to shock, and so it's not to take everything as is. Because I know the latest thing that's happened recently is King Charles always has his weekly catch up with the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and it's an in-person one. But obviously, he's undergoing treatment now regularly for his cancer, cancer that we're not quite sure where on his body it is, but although we have an idea. And now they've stopped doing the in-person, which I knew would happen. I mean, obviously, it's inevitable. If you can do something online, you're not necessarily going to meet up in person if you're not well. So small things like that, it's common sense, really, isn't it? More than anything.
it absolutely is. And we're going to dive into it in a moment. First, we're going to bring out Simon MacDonald, who's joining us from Scotland, and he is ready to give a presentation as well. So let's welcome him. Hello, Simon.
Hello, everybody, and everybody in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to some as well, I believe. And yes, everyone from Dublin to Tokyo in the east, and USA, of course, as a centre focus. I'm rabbiting on today.
No, you're not. We always love hearing
Okay.
your stories.
It's our
Um,
weekly Wednesday roundup where we get together and just have a chat. But there is a lot of news. And as you mentioned, Helena, there's a lot of speculation and stories. And I think also because across the world, we've watched King Charles go from bringing the prince to the king and losing his mother, the queen passing away, and everybody watching and thinking, wow, what an incredible journey he's had. And now for this diagnosis. What are you hearing there? Obviously, you're this story very closely, you and Ian Palm Turner. What are you hearing there on the ground?
Well, I think what's happened, obviously, is that we've seen, King Charles. He's awaited his crowning glory moment. I think that's the main thing. So we all become rather fond of him. I think even people that weren't quite sure, how good a king he would be. I think he really has proved himself to be a very open, kind, empathic, giving person. He really does love people and wants everyone to do well. And so we've sort of embraced the royal family. Even people that I know that are not necessarily royalists have sort of been watching, intrigued about everything. But he obviously, it was, I think, Monday, we were contacted at 6 o'clock, and I think the whole media world actually was quite shocked to hear his cancer diagnosis. And then every single channel wanted to know what was happening. So, gosh, Fox, NBC, there's just so many. It went a bit mad, as it does. It's just really, really quite sad. And the good thing about it, though, is the king actually he's a man of great faith, and he really does hold that close to his heart. So he's a positive person, and he believes truly that he's going to get well, and he will. He's fighting fit. That's the main thing, apart from obviously cancer diagnosis. He is so strong. I mean, he beat us all at running or racing up a hill. He really is stoic, and I think that's going to stand by him. Queen Camilla as well. What a woman, the best woman really to have by his side. She will get him through everything, and of course the whole family, the working royal family, are sort of front and centre now. Everyone has revved up. I feel worried for Camilla because she's got both sides of the coin, because obviously she's supporting him emotionally as well. But everyone's now taking on extra working duties. Nothing serious has to happen. Councillors have said nothing like that has to happen. But obviously, with people stepping up and doing their best and taking over certain bookings, working things that he had in place. Prince William was going to be off for a little bit while longer looking after his wife, but he's back at work today. He's doing investitures, and in fact, shortly is on his way to a charitable event for the Royal Ambulance, and obviously that's close to his heart. And I think this is the first day that he will also be asked about his father, how much he gives. I don't know. So, and obviously Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, again, working very hard. Just everyone is giving it their all. But we have to remember, these are normal people as well. There are human things going on, and they have to also be allowed to recuperate without too many prying eyes. I know lots of people are very interested in Harry flying over. It was a very quick flight. But again, everyone was saying, what's he doing? And already everyone's judging. And it's, in a way, if you look at it from a human point of view, maybe he was panicked. He hears his father's got cancer and he raced over because he wants his father. I mean, that's what I would like to believe, and that it's not a publicity stunt. I know that he probably spoke to his father for no more than 40 minutes, but at least it was something. And I think he's on his way back now because he has an event. Again, it's lots of people talking about this, and I'm just interested. What does everyone think? Do you think that it should have been, because it's very different from Queen Elizabeth when she was reigning. It was far more secretive, and you weren't given all the facts. But now everyone expects facts. Everyone wants to know everything that's going on, and if there's a tiny minutiae of detail left out, people want to know. But he's been very honest and released, obviously, these statements talking about his health, with the hope of helping others and to get other people to seek help, which is admirable. But people are sort of now wondering, is this the new modern family? Is this a good thing? Should people have been so open? What do you think, guys? It'd be interesting just to have a chat, really.
Well, I think he is entitled to a bit of privacy. He's a human being like the rest of us. The only difference is he's in a dead-end job because, there's just absolutely no chance of promotion in it. But he's an incredible person. He's amazingly strong. He comes over really quite soft and gentle, but he's as tough as old boots inside there, and he's been through a lot in his life. And he is perfectly entitled to say, well, okay, I've got cancer, the world has to know, but they don't have to know all the gory details of it. Suffice to say, yes, it's in the public domain, they know, that's fine. And it's the same with Catherine as well, that, she went into hospital, she had her abdominal surgery, but she's not going to say just what it was. Why should she? Again, totally entitled to her privacy on the matter. That's my piece.
No, I agree completely.
I agree. It's an individual thing. And it's, just for people who are not on television or not in the public domain, they don't necessarily tell everyone they know everything about themselves, right? We are able to make decisions about what we want to share and what we don't want to share. But I do admire the fact that he shared it so that people can have that awareness, go and get checked, get screened to make sure that you don't have anything going on in your body that you're not aware of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true. The health service here has been absolutely inundated with people now coming forward wanting to be tested. He's been quite an ambassador for screening for cancer and for prostate problems as well. They say the hospitals now and doctor surgeries are just absolutely bombarded with people wanting this. It's been a big wake-up call, I think, for everybody. And if it saves a life, it's a job worth doing.
Absolutely.
It is that.
Go ahead, Helen. I'm sorry.
No, I was just to say it is actually I think it's National Cancer Prevention Month as well, February here. I just thought I'd just add it, which obviously, because people obviously really go for it as well, so they're talking about cancer all the time. So already there are lots of people going to get help, but now with King Charles and everything he's been talking about, we're yes, it's having the surgeries and everything in place, isn't it, to take all the people coming in. But it's a good thing no matter what, definitely. And I know I can just see him. He will be working. He's very bright. He needs to keep himself going, and I know that even with treatment that he's having, he'll be there furiously writing letters. And that's actually when he made the announcement, when it came over, and that was just before 6 o'clock on Monday that I heard. He released it's been cropped, that picture, but he released it with that, which I thought was quite a strong picture in a way. And I think he was sort of like looking out at everyone still with his position, but he will be there going through his paperwork and still keeping an eye on everything, absolutely. And he'll want that. He wants continuity and stability for our British state. I mean, goodness me, 1,000 years plus or something we've been going, and he takes everything very seriously. I mean, goodness me, he's been waiting all this time, hasn't he? So he is in Sandringham at the moment, which is really beautiful land, and it's very tranquil there. So I can see that's a good place for him to recuperate. In fact, I think after his meeting with Harry, he drove to Buckingham Palace, which is very close to Clarence House, where he actually lives. I actually found out that when they fly the flag, he's normally at Clarence House, which is a stone throw away from Buckingham Palace. I don't think people tend to like to stay there. But he then got his helicopter to Sandringham, and there he is recuperating. But that he'll be doing loads of bits and pieces and chatting. It's quite hard for him to slow down. I think that's Queen Camilla's big task, is to try and get him to relax. And I think it's just because he's so bright as well. He really is quite incredible in what he's done and achieves. But he can't wait to get back to public duty. And I'm sure Prince William can't wait for him as well to get back to public duty, because now he's having to really...
Because he's a young dad.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting because...
I have a question for you. So now they're in the state that they're in, and there's less people, if I understand, to do royal duties. Therefore, I guess we'll see even more Princess Anne helping him get through things, right or wrong.
I mean, we have such a thing as well as councillors of state, which we introduce if the king cannot rule anymore. He can, obviously, and he will have some time out, and then hopefully will be back. But if he can't, then two of the people that are, there's a few now. I mean, goodness me, I think Harry and Andrew are still on the list. But anyway, they won't be put in front. But people will up their game. But we don't have to talk about councils of state. People have confused it and think that someone needs to take over, but they don't. He will just carry on. So I lost myself. What were we saying?
I don't mean take over. I just meant help him while he's his treatment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Anne. Yesterday I think it was 3 engagements. She does so much each day. I just don't know if she could fit any more in. But from a moral side of things, and very, supportive, incredibly supportive. But I think Queen Camilla definitely, and it will be Prince William and the Duke of Edinburgh, obviously with the Duchess of Edinburgh as well, that will be doing the majority of work. But it's funny because I did an interview a little while ago, and they were talking about how awful, and that everyone's falling ill, and the royal family can't cope. And I sort of was arguing my case that actually, it's not fair to say you've got to give things time, and it's a change, isn't it? It's a period of change, and you've got to expect the unexpected. But I have to say, as things go along, I do see the fragility of the royal family with not as many people working. But it's all doable. Again, it is. It's just change, and I think
you have to get over the shock, and then from there, start figuring out the plan,
Yeah,
correct?
what's the solution?
Yeah. And we do that with any family, right? We all have
Yeah.
ups and downs. And again, going back to the privacy, and I know if I was the King Charles, I would be like, they only need to know so much. I don't want them to know exactly what kind of cancer, because I don't want to be reading, well, the speculation is, X amount is high,
Yeah.
that particular cancer. I'm like, no, I want to think positive. And of course, he's very lucky, because I would think he would be getting the best of the best of the best treatment ever in the entire world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would hope so. And also with Princess Kate, it's,
Yes.
everyone was saying it's not fair. She should be saying what's exactly wrong. But no, I mean, the fact that this information was given out was enough. And she's got children, and you've got to protect their privacy too.
Right.
It just becomes naughty, doesn't it? But anyway, we're all shocked, and I think there's a great outpouring of love, and that really cheers me.
Yeah, I mean, you think of it, the job that Charles has got. It's a very difficult job. I mean, a bit like the weather here. You rain all day, but it's 7 days a week as well. So you don't get a day off. You don't get any time off, and you don't get it. You really don't get very much thanks for it, because there's so many people criticize them, thinking, "Oh, it's a great jolly." They go from one opening, they cut a ribbon here, and they go and do something there, and that's all there is to it. And that is the very least of it. In the the papers that have to be done every day is it's a colossal amount of work, and I'm not surprised that Charles likes to live at Clarence House. It's a much more homely atmosphere in Clarence House. It's beautiful inside, much more homely. Buckingham Palace has really become quite an office. And, we don't like living in the office, as I say, well, here I am. But
That's really good.
we like to get out of it now and again, get out and walk ourselves around for a bit and get back inside and get stuck in. But it is a big job. Even when they go to Balmoral, and everybody said, they're having a holiday in Balmoral. He's doing the papers every day. The dispatch boxes come in. These have to be done. Come rain or shine, whatever, they have to be done. Even with Her Majesty the Queen on Britannia, the boxes were flowing in every day. She had to do them. So it takes a large chunk of the day as well. People don't see that. They don't understand it. They don't realize it. Just all the work that goes in to raining all day, 7 days a week, just like our weather.
It's a job.
Yeah, I mean, on a small end, for anyone who's ever attended an event, you show up and you go, oh, wow, look at this. But meanwhile, it's been planned for a year, right? All these people are in the background. And so just imagine what the royal family has to do, what's being done in the background that we have no idea every single day.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think also King Charles is a workaholic, and he always has been. That's his thing. But in a way, it's good because the work gets done. I hope everyone can hear me. And interestingly, another little thing that made me laugh is that I just through speaking to various people and journalists and just lots of things, and they all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, but we're not ready for Prince William. It was like the last few weeks, the last few months, everyone was like, oh, King Charles should step down. He's too old. He's this, that. We want Prince William. We want the younger king and queen. And now everyone's really worried, just in case it comes to, because they don't want it. They think he's not ready, and they're not ready for him. So it does make me giggle. But I just wish everyone well. I just hope that things will move on, and I'm sure they will. And I know that he's in Sandringham. Actually, a funny thing about Sandringham, which I was reading, is that they're actually opening supposedly in due course, opening a glamping site. Sandringham is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got wonderful areas of land, and it's sort of near the woodlands that they're opening the glamping sites. And it's going to be they're tents in a way, but they're obviously quite posh. And they're called Experience Freedom Tents. And there's going to be, I think they've got everything. They've got like porches, they've got built-in barbecues, so they're really quite plush. They're made for a royal, and it's going to bring in money to the economy. But it did make me laugh that it was Experience Freedom Tents. It sort of made me think, it just made me think of Prince Harry. Actually, that's what it did. I think it's that Finding Freedom, isn't it? And obviously, will they come and stay at the tents? Who knows?
Well, they sound like I've gone clamping, but that one sounds pretty posh.
I think it will be. I think it's the beginning of trying to do things with the land and the properties, because that's the next elephant in the room. But again, these things happen as time goes by. I think it will bring in something like an extra 5 million to the to our country, which is good. It's all good. But I love it. I mean, glamping sites, I can see that happening in all places.
Yeah.
Does glamping include a tent, or is it more like a room in the Four Seasons?
It's like a room in the Four Seasons mixed with a bit
got visions of them going glamping as the decorators come in to spruce up the inside of Sandringham.
Yeah,
but there's not a sleeping bag in a tent, right?
It's a bit more than that, I think. Yeah.
It's a little bit more plush. Yeah, it's an upgraded version, and I think it's really funny. I can see it. It's quite fun. I'd stay. I love things I love being out in nature. So to have a little bit of luxury, but also feel like you're out in the wilds, but not in a tent. I think there's something nice about that. Yeah, it's really good fun.
I would agree with you. Helena, I'm just wondering, and thank you so much for taking the time to be here. How is all this impacting you, knowing that you're on call, on demand, you've got to go from one channel to the next?
It's okay. It's fine. Luckily, I'm managing my time. But the thing is, it's a difference of time scales, isn't it? And then I, for instance, was doing something for GB News, and then there's something which is like at 6 o'clock in the morning, which then means that I have to be ready at silly, unearthly hour, travel by taxi, and get there. So that even here in the UK, that impacts my timing. And then if you're speaking to Australia and things, again, you've got the complete time difference. So it can get quite exhausting. And then if you actually add up the amount of work you've done, which obviously is a lot, actually in increments of time, it's not that much. It's more the travel and the other bits and pieces. But it's good. It's what I enjoy doing. And it's always good to give information to different channels. And sometimes people get it occasionally, and I find it quite shocking, because then this is going out to like a big country. You can see how Chinese Whispers on a big basis carries on. You've got to have the right sources. It's too easy, isn't it, to just have someone, because I know that somebody was saying how ill Charles and Camilla were. This was some time ago, and then this sort of flew around. Of course, everyone's absolutely on tenterhooks. Anyway, we actually
have a photograph that you provided, and I don't know why our names peek through the overlay, but there's Simon McDonald right there.
Simon McDonald
is
sitting on King Charles and Queen Camilla's shoulders. What are you doing, Simon? I love that. I think that's a lovely photograph of them both. That shows their love, and it actually is quite
really
attractive
sweet
photograph.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
Well, before we go over to Simon, I know you have a presentation today. Helena, you're very much an advocate for wellness. What are you doing during this time when you're so in demand, traveling around? What are you doing for self-care?
Well, I have to say, I'm trying to sleep. I'm just back from flu. And I'm telling you what, if someone's not had a flu jab, please go and have your flu jab, because I've not had flu since I was a young girl. And I honestly thought I died. It was so shocking how ill I was, and I couldn't move, and I've had to spend, so it's all come at a funny time, really. You see Charles and the illness and lots of work, but that took it out of me. And then it was just simple things like lots of water, just short walks now. So I make sure that it's very easy in the work I do, which is a lot of research as well, to be on the computer all the time, be on my phone all the time. So I have to be quite strict. And one of the things as well, is to not have my phone next to me when I am sleeping. Even if it's 2 hours sleep or I'm not having a full night's sleep, I mustn't have my phone with me because everything can wait. So I'm not one of these people that is at the gym and pumping iron and various things. But I do want to start swimming. I just can't get past that wet feeling, that wet, cold feeling. I just can't. I don't know. I just need to think things through. But I keep myself well, eat well, keep hydrated, do movement, but I'm not doing high impact. And it makes me feel so guilty as I look at your face, JACALYN, because I know that you're just like a superwoman and fit and like an Olympian, like I was years ago.
I'm just a crazy person.
You might get your opportunity to go swimming a bit sooner than you think. I've seen the weather
forecast. Yeah, I know. or skiing, maybe skiing.
And it rains all day.
I just want to share that I used to swim. I would go to the gym and they had this beautiful Olympic-sized pool and I would swim. And what happened, I'm sorry, I'm just going to put it out there, but several different times there were things floating in the water and they shouldn't have been there. And I was like, yeah, that's the end of that.
That's the end.
That's the end. Goodbye.
No, this is not good. Maybe I don't think I'm going to go swimming.
Not supposed to be there, friends. Sorry, just letting you know.
What about everyone else? What do they do to keep fit and well?
For self-care?
I'm about sailing, and I've been sailing since 4 years old, and I've gone sideways ever since. Although since last April, when I had a knee replacement, it's rather clipped my wings on that aspect of it. But I'm ready for it now. Even yesterday, I actually ventured out onto the golf course, first time in I don't know how long, and I thought, yay, getting on the golf course. Bloody thing was closed. I got there, the ground was closed and it was saturated. But I did get into the practice nets and so on, and I actually felt so much better for it. And took Isla, the dog, with me as well, and she had a wonderful walk and rolled about in the grass, thinking this is just absolute heaven. And I'd thought, well, it's closer to heaven if I could at least hit a ball. But there we are. But yeah, I walk a bit. I enjoy a game of golf. It doesn't necessarily enjoy me, but I go through the motions of it. But sailing is an extremely energetic sport. Now I used to compete in yacht racing at national, international level. I had 2 ex-Olympic Solings, which are 3-man keelboat, 27 feet. And that was an incredibly energetic thing. And I remember seeing the doctor one day and he said, what do you do for exercise? And I said, well, I sail. He said, no, I mean, what do you do for exercise? I said, well, I tell you what, I'm short of a crew for Monday night. Come and join me in the boat, having a race at the local club. So he did. And at the end of the night, he came sort of puffing, panting ashore. Says, I take back everything I said about sailing. It really tests the mettle of anybody who ventures into it competitively.
Yeah, until you try it yourself, you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's also mental too, because I took sailing lessons and discovered that was not for me. I rather have a motorboat that just kind of goes and I can have fun. But you're always thinking, because if that wind changes, you would need to bend over and change and round things up and everything else.
Somebody did say to me once, it's the mental aspect of it as well. And then they sort of quicked in after that and said, you really probably have to be mentally unstable to go through what you're going through on a yacht anyway. Yeah, probably.
And Diann, I know you've been doing something, whether it's snow, ice, sleet, you're there. Tell us about it.
So I am really big into Pilates right now. And I'm up to 5 days a week, which is really nice. I give myself 2 days off, but then, my husband and I might go walking or something. But people think Pilates, you're just laying down, moving back and forth. But if you sign up for different types, there's one called Jump. And if you liked jump roping when you were little, this is so fabulous because you're laying down and you're like pushing, and when you finish, you're exhausted, but you are like so excited about the world and life, and you just want to scream with happiness. It's so cool.
I love that.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful,
And at
Diann.
the same time, you're like, my back doesn't hurt anymore. This is so lovely.
Well, we'd love to have some actual visuals of you doing it.
Oh, no, I look
Because a
awful.
lot of people don't know what Pilates is. They don't,
That's true.
do they call it Pilates in the UK?
Yeah, it sounds a bit like an Italian pasta dish, but it is quite popular here as well. Yes.
I got put off. I don't know if it was Pilates, was it yoga? I just remember that I could hear people grunting.
Grunting?
Grunting, not in Pilates.
They were doing something else, Helena.
Yeah,
I
they
don't know
had
what
to
that
be.
was.
Oh, and also, sorry to say this, but also passing wind, which became a bit of a joke after a while. Why didn't go back?
That's
Excuse
funny.
me.
I can see that in yoga with some of the positions. Your body's like, whoa.
I have never. I don't know a lot of people breaking winds in yoga, but listen. In anything you're doing, you can definitely if you've had a lot of gassy food or you've got some
That's
rumblings. Yeah, that gas can come out in a pool, wherever.
wherever.
Yeah. Well, we've really had it now about this topic. So I know, Simon, you have a presentation that is abbreviated. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready anytime you are. I mean, that's it. Yes, indeed.
All
Yeah,
right,
because
fantastic. Helena, I know how busy you are, but thank you so much for being here with us today and carry on.
I knew you didn't get on, so I'm so thrilled. Thank you, and I will see you next week. Lots of love.
All right. Stay well. Take care. Diann, you and I will be here.
Yes,
Okay.
we will be here.
All right, Simon, take it away.
And I suppose I better still be here as well. Well, the last few weeks I've been doing a series on seats of power, and now I'm looking at Scottish heroes and villains. And there's plenty about. I think probably the villain side might slightly overtake the hero side, but don't tell anybody that. Shh. Otherwise, I can get deported to England. I mean, fate worse than dead. Anyway, it's today I'm talking about Prince Charles Edward Stuart, better known to most people as Bonnie Prince Charlie. And he was really quite an amazing character. I think we've got a photograph of him. Well, it's not a photograph of him; it's a portrait of him in his younger days there. But so Prince Charles Edward Stuart, also known as the Young Pretender, and of course Bonnie Prince Charlie, who's which is the popular version of his name. And he was the claimant and heir apparent to the throne of Great Britain in the 18th century. Had he come to the throne, he would have actually been crowned King Charles III, making our present King Charles III King Charles IV. So there's a bombshell for a start. So anyway, the Bonnie Prince Charlie, not Charles on the throne just now, Bonnie Prince Charlie, he led the Jacobite supporters of a Catholic monarch in a series of victories across Scotland and England in 1745 in an attempt to recapture the crown. Though he's chiefly remembered for his defeat at the Culloden Moor, the Battle of Culloden, on April the 16th of 1746. The bloody battle and the subsequent repercussions against suspected Jacobites in Scotland permanently ended the Jacobite cause. And Charles' escape from Scotland after the battle at Culloden helped to romanticise the Jacobite cause and the plight of the Scottish Highlanders during the 18th century. And we all know of the famous Skye Boat song, Over the Sea to Skye, and for his early life. But the Bonnie Prince was born in Rome on December the 31st, 1720, and he was christened Charles Edward Louis John Sylvester Maria Casimir Stuart. That's quite a long name, so Charles Edward Stuart is how he preferred to be known. His father was James Francis Edward Stuart, and had been brought to Rome as an infant when his deposed father, James VII, received papal support after fleeing London in 1689. And James Francis married Maria Clementina, a Polish princess with a large inheritance in 1719. And after the failures of the second and third Jacobite risings in Scotland at the beginning of the 18th century, the birth of a Stuart heir was heartening to the Jacobite cause. Charles was charismatic and sociable from a young age, characteristics that would later compensate for his lack of skill in battle. As a royal heir, he was privileged and well educated, particularly in the arts, and he spoke several languages, including enough Gaelic to be understood in Scotland, and he's said to have played the bagpipes. He was fair-faced, likely suspected to be bisexual, characteristics that earned him the nickname the Bonnie Prince. As the son of the claimant and the heir apparent to the throne of Great Britain, Charles was raised to believe in his divine right to an absolute monarchy. It was his life's purpose to ascend to the throne of Scotland, Ireland, and England, and it was this belief that ultimately led to the so-called young pretender's defeat, as his desire to capture London after securing Edinburgh exhausted his dwindling troops and supplies in the winter of 1745. In order to reclaim the throne, James and Charles needed support from a powerful ally. So after the death of Louis XIV in 1715, France revoked its support of the Jacobite cause. But in 1744, with the War of Austrian Succession waging across the continent, James managed to secure financing, soldiers and ships from the French to advance into Scotland. At the same time, the aging James named 23-year-old Charles Prince Regent and tasked him with taking back the crown. So in February 1744, Charles and his French company sailed for Dunkirk, but the fleet was destroyed in a storm shortly after departure. So Louis XV refused to redirect any more effort from the ongoing War of Austrian Succession to the Jacobite cause. So the young pretender pawned the famed Sobieski rubies to finance two-man ships, one of which was immediately decommissioned by a waiting British warship. A very polite word, that, in terms saying decommissioned. In other words, it was blown out of the water. Undeterred, Charles pressed on, stepping foot in Scotland for the first time in July 1745 on the shores at the mouth of Loch Eilert. Now, Loch Eilert, a very beautiful part on the west coast of Scotland. I used to actually live there for many years. I ran my business there, and it was a lovely place, but really steeped in history. So the Jacobite standard, it was raised for the Bonnie Prince in August at Glenfinnan, which is sort of halfway between Loch Eilert and Fort William. It comprised mostly of destitute Scots and Irish farmers, a mix of Protestants and Catholics. The Jacobite forces under Charles initially achieved several victories in the field, including the Battle of Preston Pans in September 1745 and the Battle of Falkirk Muir in January 1746. The army marched south. It would have been wise for Charles to actually wait out the ongoing war in the continent as in Edinburgh, because that move would have exhausted the Hanoverian troops, but instead he was motivated by a desire to claim the throne in London. So Charles marched his army into England, getting as close as Derby before he was actually being forced then to retreat. The Jacobites retreated north up to the Highland capital of Inverness, and Charles' most important holding. So government troops were not far behind him, and a bloody battle was fast approaching. So on the night of April the 15th, 1746, the Jacobites attempted a surprise attack, but they got lost in the marsh and in the darkness, and it is a very foggy part of the world around Culloden Moor, I know it well, and rendering the attempt a dismal failure. As the sun rose the next morning, Charles ordered his Jacobite army, sleep-deprived and starving, to prepare for battle on the flat, muddy Culloden Moor. In less than an hour, the Hanoverian army had obliterated the Jacobites, and Charles was nowhere to be found. In tears, the young pretender had fled the battlefield. Well, Charles, he spent subsequent months in hiding. He became acquainted with Flora MacDonald, not a relation to mine, that's another MacDonald, who disguised Charlie as her maid, Betty Burke, and smuggled him safely to the Isle of Skye, hence the Skyboat song, Over the Sea to Skye. He eventually crossed the mainland once more, going into hiding before catching French ships en route to the continent. So in September 1746, Charles Edward Stuart left Scotland for the last time aboard the French frigate Le Héros, which was commanded by a Richard Warren. After a few years searching for Jacobite support, Charles returned to Rome and blaming his senior commanders for the loss at Culloden. He fell into drunkenness. In 1772, married Princess Louise of Stolberg, a girl who was 30 years his junior. The pair had no children, leaving Charles without an heir, though he did have one illegitimate daughter, Charlotte. And so then Charles later died in Charlotte's arms in 1788. In the aftermath of Culloden, Jacobitism then became shrouded in myth, and over the years the Bonnie Prince became the symbol of a valiant but doomed cause, rather than a privileged, unskilled prince that abandoned his army. In reality, it was, at least in part, the impatience and impudence of the young pretender that simultaneously cost him his throne and permanently ended the Jacobite cause. Let's recap. Charles, Bonnie Prince Charlie, he was known for being claimant to the throne of Great Britain, also known as the Young Pretender or Bonnie Prince Charlie. He was born on December the 31st, 1720 in Palazzo in Muti, Rome, Papal Estates. Died January the 31st of 1788 in Palazzo Muti, Rome, and the Papal Estates again. His parents were James Francis Edward Stuart and Maria Clementina Sobrieska. And his spouse was Princess Louise of Stolberg, and the children, well, was only Charlotte Stuart, who was its illegitimate child. So, hero or villain? I think the jury's out on that. A lot of people say, well, you know, he came to Scotland unable to speak the language at all, and somehow he managed to rally all the Jacobite soldiers together, and he talked them up somehow, sign language probably, took them down to Glenfinnan, raised the standard, then finished up going up to Inverness and having the absolute living daylights beaten out of them, and then he disappeared eventually off over back to Italy, dressed as a woman, and died an alcoholic. Does that sound a hero to you, or is he the villain? He's still claimed the hero today.
Wow, that's quite a story. Diann, we can't hear you, dear.
Yeah, you're still.
Sorry, I like to be on mute because when you're talking, sometimes I like have a giggle and I want to interrupt you.
Guess what the great thing is about Wave.video is that you're not actually on the screen anymore, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't have to mute yourself anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for teaching me that, because
yes,
I do. If you're wondering what's happening back, I'm like listening. I'm like taking notes sometimes, or I'm like looking something up so I know more. But what a fascinating character! They should do him.
It was amazing.
Him.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it was all sorts of things. I mean, you know, and yet, you know, proclaimed a great hero, and that's the man there. The museum in Fort William certainly pays homage to Bonnie Prince Charlie, and has many artifacts relating back to the Jacobite days. I mean, that was really part of the bloody history of Scotland in every sense of the word. It was, you know, the hard times. And my son Paul, he's quite a historian on this. And the Jacobite risings, well, there were actually 5 Jacobite risings, but the 2 famous ones was 1715 and then 1745.
Wow.
And the first shots that were fired in the 45 rebellion was a place called near Spain Bridge, a place called High Bridge, which is about 10 miles away from Fort William. And Paul had heard about the first shots being fired there, and he'd worked out roughly where those shots would have been fired, and went along with the metal detector, and he actually found quite a number of musket shots, which would have been the original shots fired in the 45 rebellion. So the area around there in Lochaber is steeped in history. Very beautiful part of the world, steeped in history.
Wow, very interesting.
Fascinating. Yeah, and thanks for providing the photographs as well. So You always go above and beyond, Simon. And of course, we had limited time today and you were able to get this story out. So thank you for that.
Right. Can I quickly do
Yes.
we've got our the final bit of the on this day. I was fumbling for words there again. So on this day, where we are in 1301, Edward of Carnarvon, who was later King Edward II, became the first English Prince of Wales. So there we are. So that's the lineage for William and for King Charles before that as well, who was crowned Prince of Wales. So that was Edward of Carnarvon. And then 1992, the Maastricht Treaty was signed by 12 countries from the European community to create the EU as we have it today, the European Union. Birthdays. Right. Now, we've got Charles Dickens was born this day, quite a long time ago. How do I have his date? I don't have his date. That's a shame. But it was certainly, in the 1800s. And, of course, Charles Dickens is known for writing Oliver Twist, Tales of Two Cities, A Christmas Carol. He was born in Portsmouth in Hampshire. Not many other well-known people born this day either. But for deaths, we've got Harvey S. Firestone. And he died in 1938. He was the American manufacturer and founder of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. So that was, a flat tire that day for him. So that's what we have for on this day today.
You're so funny, a flat tire for him on that day. That's hysterical. You're so witty. I wish I could think that fast.
Sometimes you've got to. When you lose your script.
My printer started printing by itself. Stop it. Stop. So that concludes our show for today. Diann, what would you like to leave our audience with?
Just to remember that you have a light inside you and share that light with others. So have a blessed day.
Thank you very much, Diann. Any projects that you currently have going on?
My family sent some things off to the editor, so I feel
relief.
Yes.
Simon, where are you in your next publication?
It's with the editor. The hatchet job is great. I've still got a little bit more research coming as well on it, but we're nearly there. This is a different book to A Rhyme and Time. This is about my father's experiences during the Second World War around the Battle of Cassino, because I suddenly discovered I've got his sort of diary, which was just scrawled and whatever scraps of paper he could find at the time on the battlefield, and he wrote down his thoughts and what was going on. And it was I don't know he was necessarily supposed to be doing that, but he did it anyway. And it's a remarkable piece of history of just what these people went through, the conditions at that time. It's it's going to be a fascinating read, that one, because it's all factual, and the actual notes will be in his handwriting, will be shown on every page through the book as well. So people can either read, the ordinary type, do it the lazy way, or read through his handwritten notes, which really bring to life all the trials and tribulations and the horrors of being on the battlefield at the time.
I want to order mine. Copy now.
I think I might order one as well.
I think you have a screenplay coming.
It sounds like it.
Actually,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say too much about it, but I've got a friendly script writer in Hollywood who's very keen to do something on that one. So we shall see. Watch this space.
Remember, you heard it here. We are going to sign off as Global Social Entrepreneurs Best Of episode is coming up next, followed by the Royally Rich Lifestyle Show, episode 14. So do stay tuned. We will see you again, God willing, next week. All right?
All right.
Absolutely. We'll be here.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I found I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school, this class is the best, this is the best school ever.
You should take it. It's just, it will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you. Thank you, BSc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.